Hello, I'm Rosella from Stitching in the Moment, and today I wanted to invite you to craft along with me. I'm going to be making a fabric box, something like this with a little lid, and I'm going to use some stamps and I'm going to use some fabric paints. I'm going to embroider, and I thought you might like to do this along with me. Now, on my website I've got fabric box panels and I'm going to use one of those. However, these techniques, you could use absolutely anything. Just, grab any stamps that you've got, any fabric that you've got, and bear with me as I work along. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to outline my fabric box in with my sewing machine. The reason being that I found that when I put these together, if I left the lines on the right side, if you didn't get it lined up exactly, sometimes they showed, and that annoyed me a little bit. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my sewing machine, turn it on, and I'm just going to run around my stitching line on this fabric box. Ought to have some music to play whilst I'm doing this, shouldn't I? Not too great at talking and stitching. Okay, so all I need to do is trim off my loose threads and then I'm good to go. Scissors would be a great idea right now. I put two pairs out ready, I've lost both of them. Let's just get rid of those. I don't want them getting in the way. Listen very carefully, you can hear Bowser snoring. Right, so I'm actually turned this fabric over and I see that it's actually got some marks on it there. That's the lid. I might have to do that from the other side, but never mind. I've now got my fabric and I've got an outline of where I'm going to stamp within. So I'm going to start stamping. Okay, so here's my outline. And I want to make sure I stamp in between that. Now I'm actually using a little mat underneath to stamp, but if you haven't got one of those, that's fine. If you don't need one, that's fine. You could try using magazines if you feel like you want something with a little bit of give whilst you're stamping. Now, oh, there's a pair of scissors there. Now I'm going to use Memento Lux, which is actually a mixed media ink. Because this is not going to be washed, it doesn't really matter what ink you use. If all you've got is a VersaFine or a Distress ink, try stamping with it. It really doesn't matter. It's only to give us the outline mostly. So I'm going to start with, I think we'll start with the larger flowers. You can see that my stamps are rather loved. These stamps, again, you'll find on the website, or you could use anything that you've got in your own stash. Actually, I'm going to cut this up because I only want the larger flower, so let's get rid of the rest of that. Don't know why I didn't take it off the plastic first. And let's get rid of that stem. Is that gone? There we go. Just get rid of those harsh edges as well. Okay, and then I've got a little block to put that on. That'll do. So that's going to be my main embroidery stamp, and then the rest really is going to be a bit of a background. Pretty colour. So this is my box sides. I don't want it too close to the top because the box lid is going to come down to a certain extent. So. And I don't really want it right in the centre. So let's pop it towards the bottom. That's really pretty, isn't it? I might do some more of those actually. I wasn't going to. I was going to do little ones, but I can always colour in the ones that I don't want to embroider. I'd like to embroider all of them, but that would mean this video would be so very, very long. And again, no, I'm okay stitching right to the stamping right to the edge of that, because that's my stitching line, not my seam allowance. So I'm going to miss the centre of the box, and I'm going to go to the side as well. Maybe we'll just have one on that side, and let's bring that down to do that side as well. And just put that on the ink. And again, let's have one there. I'm going to fill in now with some smaller ones, and then we'll see how we get on. So, size do I want? I quite like this one. Again, this is on the same stamp set. I think it's called Bloom, this one. It's on the website. I say any stamps at all that you've got, just have a bit of a play with. These stamps, I designed these stamps, I drew them with embroidery in mind, amongst other things. Parchment as well. So they don't have a lot of detail in them, because the detail ideally was going to come with either the stitching or the embossing. And do we need any more? Don't mind if I stamp under the lid, because that's just going to be coloured. And I think we'll go off the edge as well, just to add a little bit more interest. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have to count them. I can't imagine that is an odd number. Oh, that's confused me, hasn't it? Is that an odd number or not? Either way, we're going to put one a bit closer to the bottom. Now, you could stamp the bottom if you want to. Actually, I could put some of these just as background in the bottom of the box, because otherwise it's looking a little bit plain, isn't it? Yep, happy with that. Let's go to that top one again. And again, let's put some off. I love stamping. I could go on forever like this. If you're getting bored, then do fast forward. Okay, and then let's go on to this one as well. Oh, that's looking really pretty now, isn't it? I really like this. I'm not going to count them. I'm just not. I'm going to control myself. I'll try. Actually, I'm really, really happy with that. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to leave the lid for the time being. So I may not even put a lid on the box. Not sure. I'm just going to put those stamps out of the way for the time being. Give us some more room. Honestly, if you can see my desk, I'm not going to show you all of it. It's dreadful. Then, myself down. What I've got to colour with, I've actually got fabric pens, and you could try. Now you could do pencils. I do love my Derwent Inktengus pencils, but I thought I'd have a bit of a play with these. These are Zig ones, and these aren't. Oh yes, they are. They're Zig as well, and they're actually both Fabricolor pens. So let's have a bit of a. Oh, I haven't got any leaves, have I? Oh, do I want leaves? Definitely want leaves. Sorry, let's get back to some stamps. Let's find some leaves. Let's go back to the stamp set here. Oh, separate leaves. Look at that. Quite large. I wonder if we're better off with some small ones. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Let's find that. Oh, there's one. Right, let's put that down. And I think we'll leave a little bit of a stalk on that as well. Quite like that one. Lovely. Let's get some leaves on there as well. I have to stand up again now. Stand up to stamp. I don't know why. And I'm just gonna put a few on because I want the colour. I want it to be really bright spring-like. So the sun's shining at the moment. I'd love to say my magnolias look amazing, but they got the frost last night, so they're looking brown now. But it is a beautiful, beautiful day. Yeah, I'm liking this. So if you've ever fancied being your own fabric designer, you can now, can't you? Oh, I've got ink on my fingernail now, so make sure I get rid of that before I start embroidering. And a little bit on this side as well. Yeah, good to go I think on that. Put the lid on that ink pad before I put my fingers in there. Right, back to these pens. So I'm just going to get rid of that stamping mat. Just working on a cutting mat now. Let's start down here. I love this bright pink. I want to try the green out, definitely. And there's a green in here I want to try. And that yellow's rather nice too. Oh, okay. Let's start with these, see how they get on. Let's see what they work like. So these have got, by the look of it, a double end. Yep. Now I'm hoping that ink's dried enough so that there's no colour transference. We'll soon find out. That's quite nice, isn't it? I think I might try the brush end though. I think this could be a bit labour intensive with that end. Let's try this end. Oh, that's better. Yeah, I like that one. Let's try that other green, just see what colour it's going to come out at. Actually, I'm going to try it on the edge of my fabric. Oh, I see, that's sort of, you need to feed that one by the look of it. It's a little bit turquoisey actually, I'm not sure I want to use that one. I want to go more for this fresh green because I really like this colour. Yeah, that's lovely. I've left a little bit of the fabric showing, and I'm happy to do that, I think, because I'm not doing any blending or anything. This it's just fairly solid colour. Perhaps I will leave a little bit just for some highlights, etc. Oh no, this is a lot of fun. So I hope you found something to colour with as well, and that you like colouring as much as I do, and that you're enjoying this. I certainly am. Okay, I'm just going to whip this round. And then we'll carry on with the rest. That's Baz just giving a bit of a sigh. They say it's a dog's life, don't they? He's sat in his basket looking out of the window at the moment when he's not snoozing. Okay, I think we're done on the leaves. So, what colours do... Oh, there's a pink in this one as well. I think that's nice as well. Is that a red or a sort of a coral? I don't know. Let's have a bit of a look. Well, it's quite red. I don't think I want red. Let's go for the pink. That's quite a dark pink as well, isn't it? I guess we probably won't be able to blend the colour on fabric, I don't know. Let's get that yellow. Let's have a look. It's quite pretty. It just tends to get rid of the detail on the stamps, doesn't it? Let's try this pink. See how we get on with that one. Well, that's more the colour I was thinking. You can't see that, can you? Let me move it up a little bit. Yeah, I think that's probably more the colour I was thinking of when this dropped into my mind. There seems to be a little bit, you can see through these ones a little bit better as well, can't you? You can see more detail. Do we go for different colours now though? It's decisions. That's very pretty, isn't it? I like that. We'll have another one of that colour. Okay, I'm losing the colour, so presumably I'll just give it a bit of a press down. Yeah, I like that colour better than that, but that is pretty with the yellow, isn't it? We'll have a little bit more of that. What colours have we got in this? Orange. Oh, no, I've got a different yellow in this. Maybe I'll try it with that yellow. It's all the playing, isn't it? Let's try that other yellow with that. I think it perhaps needs a little bit of a... Could have dried out, to be fair. I've had these several years and not really used them. Okay. That's not great, is it? Let's go away from that yellow. Perhaps I'll have to go back to this yellow, or maybe I use pencils. I think I'll just get some pencils. So I've got a yellow Inktense pencil here. This is cadmium yellow. Where's it going to go? Let's just try. Now, I wasn't thinking of using water with these at all. Oh, that's rather nice, isn't it? Do I want to use water now? That'd be a different look again, wouldn't it? Okay, I quite like that. I wonder what we've got in the pink in theirs. What's this one? Carmine pink. Let's just see what colour that is. Just use it on. Yes, it's going to take quite a bit of colouring, isn't it? Let's have a go on one of these out of the way. You know what, I'm going to have to try with a bit of water as well, aren't I? Bear with me. Right, finally found a water pen with a bit of water in it. So let's have a quick look. Oh, that's a bit lovely, isn't it? Oh, you gotta love these. Now, I do love that, and that is a lot of fun to do, but that is seriously going to take a lot of colouring, isn't it? And I don't have time for that. Well, I might have time for it, but I'm not sure you want to watch me all the time whilst I'm doing that. So I think we'll just stick to the yellows in the centre. I might actually colour the yellow first, actually. And then I don't, because the other is going to cover it, I don't have to be really very accurate. Now, of course, you don't have to colour in. I think I'm going to do that as well. Every single flower anyway, or whatever it is you're stamping. But I did want it to be really quite bright, this. I'm using, this is a cotton Panama. It's quite a sturdy fabric, this. I'm going to line it with some cardboard or wadding or something. But it really doesn't matter whether you've got, perhaps use calico. I like stamping on calico, that's really, really useful. Or pattern fabric, you could be embellishing just a pattern fabric. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I'm really regretting having done quite so much stamping now. But I think the finished effect's going to be really, really pretty. I think that's the centre of all of them. Put that away. So, which colour did I like? I can't remember now. Is it this colour? Let's try. Oh, it really is a lovely bright colour, isn't it? Oh, that's actually a little bit thicker now. Presumably pumping it's helped. I think we might use a little bit of purple on here as well, because that's possibly my favourite colour. Try and get a bit of a mix going on. This is actually going on a little bit more like a paint now. It's a lot thicker. It's really good coverage. I'm leaving just a few so that I can just experiment with some different colours as well. This is a whole lot of fun. So I do hope that you found some materials and you're going to be crafting along with me a little bit on this. I think we'll definitely have one of the larger ones, if not all of them, in this colour, because I really, really like this colour. I like the way that it's covering the fabric as well. I like the way it's also no skill required colour in this. Now it's getting a little bit less thick, so I'm wondering if it needs a bit of a refresh. Perhaps if I'd read the instructions first it might have helped, but there you go. Just wanted to get into it really. Now, do the other twos want with that colour? Don't know, I'm going to think about that for a bit. Let's have some in here. It'd be really nice to actually embroider all of this. This would make, actually, make great bed linen, wouldn't it? You could use a pillowcase or something and stamp on it. For that I would use a fabric ink, just that it doesn't run mostly. And then embroider it, but you could again do both, because I'm presuming these are washable. But adult supervision, I should have read that as well. Doesn't say, presumably it says on the website, but if not, you could use pens that are definitely colour fast, and you could create your own bedding. I'm heavily into creating my own bedding at the moment, but can you imagine if you did your pillowcases like this, how wonderful they would look? Imagine we spend even more time in bed. You never want to get out then, would we? Yeah, I'm really, really liking this actually. Now, these colours here, which is where I started, is nowhere near as vibrant, so I'm just going to go back. Oh, look at that for coverage. Isn't that great? Wow, no, that has surprised me. I didn't think it would layer like this, so I'm really pleased about that. So I'm wondering now No, I'm going to try with different colours. Definitely going to keep the different colours. It's going to go for the larger one as well. I think the larger ones are probably the only ones I'm actually going to embroider on this video. But I haven't quite decided how I'm going to embroider them yet. I'm thinking maybe, well, you could just black stitch or split stitch, or maybe pinwheel flowers. That might work quite nicely on this, which is, if you've not done that before, it's like a blanket stitch. Oh, that one wants doing as well. And again, I think it needs sort of priming again. These are really, really nice to use. Okay, let's just have a quick look at some of the colours then. So what have I got in this one? It's purple. Let's have a look at that. Well, it's really dark, isn't it? Okay, let's go back to the others. What have we got in here? Again, I've got a purple on here. Oh, that's even darker. It's a lovely colour, but it's not the colour I'm wanting. Okay, I'm going to try for this turquoise colour. Not sure. It's actually on blue though. There's a pale blue on here. Maybe we'll have a little bit of pale blue. Let's see how this one goes. It'll soon be time for the forget-me-nots to come out, so they're just beginning now. Oh, in fact, actually, forget-me-nots are blue and purple, aren't they? So maybe kind of mix this slightly. I'm not sure about that. Please, this one's off the edge. No, don't really like that one. Definitely not going to use that. Okay, so let's have a look at, imagine how it's drying. It's quite nice because it's sort of merging into it, but it's getting quite wet and a little bit blurry. So we'll have to do a couple more in blue but maybe just the ones that are off the fabric. Just for a hint of colour. That one's off the fabric. And this one over here is... Obviously I could have tried these colours before and then I would have known this, but where's the fun in that? Quite like that blue though, it's quite a nice colour, isn't it? Sort of a turquoisey colour. Got any more off the fabric? Perhaps put one on the bottom as well. I think I might have to investigate colours a bit more. These are lovely to use. And they colour really, really quickly. Sorry, cover really, really quickly as well. I need something to blend with those as well. So let's have a purple one down here. It's quite a strong edge on that yellow, isn't it? Let's see if we can bring the petals in. Give it a bit more. That's it. I think we might stick more with... I love this colour, absolutely love it. That was a nice colour though. Where was that one from? Is that this colour? It might have been, mightn't it? There's that one over here. That's really pretty colour, that. These are nice because they've got the brush tip, so it makes it really quick and easy to colour. Let's have, what's up on here? If you can hear the sort of sniffing and licking, that is not me, that's Bowers. He's clearly woken up and he's just having a little personal hygiene moment. Let's put one on. Oh no, so I've got one on here already, haven't I? Quite like that actually. Oh, that was the pencil one, wasn't it? That's slightly different. It's rather nice, isn't it? I think I might just go back to the pencils. Okay, this is a different one. This is red violet. Let's see what colour that is. Oh, that's actually quite dark. I don't think we want one quite that dark. Let's go back to that carmine pink and pop this one in. Now, at the moment, my daily stitching, I'm stitching postcards. If, like me, you are stitching postcards, this would make a really nice one, wouldn't it? Just these flowers, nothing else. Perhaps a little message, a spring message, or message of hope, or just a hello. Maybe hello spring. And let's get that water pen back out again. More water on that. That is really nice. I really like using these. We're nearly there actually, aren't we? Got one more on here. And that one, I'm going to go with that pencil again on there. It's because I've got the water brush in my hand. Oh, you can't see that, can you? Let me move that. So I originally designed these stamps as a kind of cherry blossom because I really like cherry blossom. I'd love to go to Japan to see the cherry blossom. It's just amazing, isn't it? When you just drive around now and you just see the trees and the blossoms just coming out. I did actually do a beaded necklace on cherry blossom. One of these days I'll put that on the Facebook page when I think on. Right, so let's get rid of that pencil. And I think big one again, we're going to go with this lovely solid pink. And again, it's a background colour. I haven't quite decided how to stitch it yet. It may well be covered up. I mean, if I end up doing something like a satin stitch on it or long and short stitch, then it'd probably be covered up anyway. But it just gives me the option of either embroidering it or not embroidering it, doesn't it? It's a real candy colour, this. And we've got the other two large flowers here as well. I'm not keeping an eye on the video, so I do hope that actually I'm not all colouring all this out of sight. If I am, you just have to take my word for it, I'm colouring really. And one last one. Another great one for a background would be a stencil as well. You could either make your own or use one that you've bought. You can make something really different. Perhaps use, if you've got a die cutting machine, perhaps make your own with a die that you particularly like. Using either the negative or the positive, that would be nice. It would look great with some script stamp, yeah, that's right. Stamped on it as well. Right, I like that. I'm going to have a little bit of a tidy up, and then we're going to do the embroidery. So I'm going to begin by placing this area in the hoop. So I'm going to initially just embroider one of these flowers. So I've got the lid's going to come down to about there on here, and there's where the fold is. So this flower should be okay. Let's go for that one. Let me think about which way I'm going to do this, because this fabric's obviously quite large, and that hoop's not loose enough. I don't want it to, I'll put that the wrong way around now. I'm going to roll the fabric up out of the way. There we go. And that's going to go in my hoop stand. So I've got my hoop in my stand, and I've got my needle thread with some yellow thread. I've got 2 strands there, and I think I'm going to start with the centre here, and I'm thinking quite a feature centre and then just a back stitch around the petals, if anything, who knows. So I'm going to start with an away knot. So I've put a knot in the end of my thread, and I'm going to put my needle down with the knot on the extra knot that I've just immediately knotted. How does that happen? All I'm doing is actually putting it through the fabric and it knots. There we go. The idea with this is that the thread's travelling underneath, and at some point I will stitch over that thread and secure it, and then I can just cut the knot off. So let's just go for the... So it's a woven wheel or spider web stitch, this one. So you're going to start with an odd number of spokes. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3. Would have been ideal if they're actually the same length. 4, 5. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to come up in the centre between one of those spokes, and I'm literally going to weave. Now you could use the back end of your needle if you're catching it. You could even change to something like a cross stitch or a tapestry needle, but you literally, all you're going to do is weave around. So you're going over that stitch, under that stitch, over the next one, under the next one, and because we've got that odd number of spokes, it's then going to naturally weave well. This gives pretty woven roses, any sort of flowers really, but I'm quite liking the idea of just the centre of this one. Now it also looks really super in silk ribbon as well. Or you could try it with any ribbon really, as long as you can get it through your needle and it runs free. Try not to get my hand in the way so that you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm starting to pierce the fabric there, so I'm going to use the eye of the needle. And you can see now why that's a little bit long. Now doesn't it make a super centre for this flower? I didn't need to colour the centre of this flower, did I? Never mind, I enjoyed it. Oops, come back. Let's put tighten my hoop slightly. Isn't that so pretty? You can fit in as many as you can. Nearly there, because actually I'm running out of thread. Ouch. That's the sharp end of the needle. I really like that. I'm pleased I've chosen this. I think, you know what, we're pretty much there. Put another one in. Yeah, really happy with that. Now to finish off, all you need to do then is just pop your needle underneath. Oh, that's super, isn't it? I really like that. And then finish off. Now I'm just going to turn it over. So if I just show you the back of this, get to position so you can see. Because you're weaving on the front, there's not an awful lot to tie into at the back, but because you've woven on the front, you can actually just put your needle through the fabric to finish off, because it's not going to show. A couple of stitches will do it. Let's get rid of that end. Now this was my away knot. As you can see, it's not covered yet, so let's just leave that in place until it is. So let's go back over and decide what to do with the rest. Now I was all for back stitching. I'm wondering whether reverse chain stitch or a split stitch. You know, I think I'm going to stick with the back stitch. Now, how about this purple? Let's see what other colours I've got. That's quite nice, isn't it? That pink. I've got a really... Oh, I like that bright pink. Oh, I like that pale pink. No. Yeah, let's go bright. Let's go really bright. And again, I want it quite bold. So I think I'll stitch it with 2 threads again. Not something I often use 2 threads. Ordinarily I would stitch with just 1, but it's got to be according to the piece that you're stitching, hasn't it? And this one, it really does need to be quite bold. There we go. Now this needle thread has got a nifty little thing on there I never ever think to use. Can you see that? It's got a little thread cutter there. Isn't that a good idea? I wish I could remember to use that. And again, let's just start with another away knot that I know will be stitched over at some point. So let's pop it back in there. And we're just going to start with the back stitch. I want it quite close to this woven wheel, and I'm just going to move on a little way. Okay, so for back stitch, so you're moving on each time, and then you're going back to the end of the last stitch, and that's all it is. If you don't have a sewing machine and you're making something like this box, then a back stitch would be a great stitch to use because it's quite a sturdy stitch. Now, as you can see, my back stitches aren't the same length at all, and I'm okay with that. Although I've got my glasses on, I don't have a magnifier, so I can't actually see that well. Anyway, but a back stitch is quite a quick stitch. Now you can see I'm actually coming to where I'm overlapping both of these threads from these away knots now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn my work over and just check that I have caught them, and if not, now is the time to stitch them in. So you can see that, yes, that's under there, but actually, you know what? I can get my needle under. I'm just going to secure that again, just whilst I'm here anyway. And then I know it's not going anywhere, and the same with this one, because it's not going to show anyway. And then let's whip it back over and continue. It now means that actually if the ends of those knots get in the way, I can just cut them off quite safely. They're not bothering me at the moment. This particular flower is large enough if I wanted to do long and short stitch, which I really love doing. I'm not going to in this instance, because actually I really need a magnifier for that, and I'm not quite sure how I can film with a magnifier as well, so I don't know how I'd do that. If I ever find out, maybe I'll do a video on long and short stitch. But there's plenty of room in there, and also satin stitch. This would look super in satin stitch as well. But I like the colour in between, in the background of it. I'm really happy actually with the way that it turned out. Isn't backstitch a relaxing stitch to do? I've actually got a TV show this week. Actually, I've got a couple of TV shows. I've got 4 this week, but 2 of them are on Sashko, which of course is running stitch. Now, how relaxing is that one as well? Sometimes the more complicated stitches are lots and lots of fun, but sometimes the easier stitches are really relaxing. Now, can you see that my thread's all knotty and twisted? Let's just bring my needle down and give that a little bit of a smooth. Now, because I'm only back stitching, this is a great one for stitching in the garden, isn't it? Which is perfect, and I absolutely love that. The light's better, the dog's happy, but where I live it's close to quite a busy road, and so it's quite noisy. And so I'm fighting with traffic noise all the time, unfortunately. Otherwise I'd have been out there today. Now it looks like I'm just, yeah, look at that, I'm just able to cover up that extra long stalk on my spider's web there. Oh, I've lost my thread from my needle. Let's just re-thread that. Oh, that's a big side bows. I've gone quiet now. You can see how relaxing it is. Mind you, I'm also working out whether I'm going to have enough thread to get me around that final petal. This one's going to overlap it ever so slightly, so let's just do. It'd be really nice to have just enough to have slightly longer stitches. You know when you run out of thread, do you stitch quicker because you think actually if the quicker you go, the less likely you are to run out? Don't work. I'm going to make sure that I make it somehow. 2 more stitches, I can do this. I won't have enough to be able to tie it off properly, but there we go. Clearly perfectly cut to size. Right, isn't that pretty? I really like that. Really like that. Love the background as well. I'm just going to tie that off now. Oh, don't lose your thread yet. So let's just weave that through a bit. I haven't got a lot there to work with. But enough. There we go. Let's get rid of that end. And because we've stitched over those waist knots, it means that I can then cut these off as well. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, very nicely. Oh, it's a bit of fluff on the top. Isn't that pretty? Really like that. Now, I could happily sit here and embroider all of these flowers, but I do want to actually put this box together and be using it. So I think I'm going to leave it there, and I'm just going to tidy up again, and then we'll get back to the machine. Let's start putting this together. Right, so I'm ready to put it together. So that's the right side of my fabric. I found some lining fabric that's pretty much spot on to that that bright pink colour. Isn't that so lovely? And I have actually put a little bit of stiffener on there, but I think I'm still going to need to pack the sides to make it a little bit more standy-uppy, firm. So right sides together, and let's just put this right on the edge, so I'm not wasting any of my interfacing and backing fabric. Make sure that it's interfaced on there. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is, this is my stitch line, which I can see now because this was actually the front, wasn't it, if you remember? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch around the outside, which is this inner line actually on here, isn't it? And I'm going to leave a whole edge for turning and for putting the inserts in. Okay, so I'm just cutting this out with the rotary cutter. There we go. So this is the area that I've left for turning, and I need to turn it now, but I've got a corner here, so I need to snip right into that corner without cutting through my stitches, and the same on all of the rest. I have to bring it a bit closer to me, I can't see. And then on the outer corners, that's a lot of fabric going on there. So I need to cut across that corner and get rid of some of that fabric. It's quite a big seam all the way around actually. It would probably benefit from cutting it down. Now on the bit that's open, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to cut it a little bit thinner. I don't want to cut the corner off because it's got to fold under and I don't want it to fray. So I'm just going to cut it, but we'll do it, start it here, just so that it's a bit less fabric until I've got it folded under. Get rid of my bits and then I can turn it. Now to turn it, I like to use a paper crafting bone folder. Find the area to turn. There we go. So we've got a nice wide opening to turn it. There we go, that little bone folder in there, you see. And I can give it some nice crisp corners. And because it's got a round end on it, I'm less likely to actually go straight through the fabric, which I've done before on my lovely bamboo one. It goes all the way through. So I'm going to turn the iron on because I'm going to need that. Now, you could use wadding for this. You could use that really stiff wadding that the name of which escapes me. Is it something board? Don't know, it's gone. You can use cardboard, you can use nothing at all, whatever. This fabric's quite sturdy. There we go. So depending on what you're going to use your box for, I think I'm going to pad it with some cardboard actually, but what it needs first is a really, really good press. Just make sure that all of your seams are, your corners are out, your seams are out, ready for ironing. Okay, that is really pretty, isn't it? I really like that. Right, let's get that ironed. This bit to turn, let's get that ironed under now. So we know where it is on that side because we had the stitching. So I know how far over it's got to go. And then I can just iron the other side to match. Oh, I can hear a pigeon. I love that noise. It's not playing nicely. And I said I could get the lining to match. It's a little bit more of a challenge than I thought. Let me see if I can show you. Is that any better? A little bit further away. Okay. So I'm just trying to get the lining to match the outside. And because it's got that little bit of interfacing in, it's messing me about. Oh, nearly there. There we go. Let's get the iron on it straight away. It's straight as a dog's hind leg still. Come on, get under there. Okay, so let's just turn that off for a moment. What I'm going to do now, ruler, is I'm going to measure how big I want these inserts. So can you see the boxes coming together now? So we're going to stitch that there, that side. And then we're going to stitch that side and that side. You see, we're going to have this lovely little box. That is so pretty, isn't it? Really like that design. So let's pad it. So I need little squares to go in. So I'm going to need 5 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're going to be, let's do it in centimetres. I'm going to make them ever so slightly smaller, just to make it a bit easier to get them in. This is when you see just how inaccurately you stitch, because some are 10 and some are a bit less. I think I'll do them all at about 9.5, and then that'll give me a little bit of wiggle room. So excuse me a moment whilst I go and cut 5 9.5 square pieces of card. So I've got my card, and all I need to do now is feed my card through the open end. So we'll start by pushing one all the way through to the opposite side. Now I haven't used particularly stiff card here, but I've got that stiffener on my fabric. So make sure it's right to the end. It might get caught on the seam inside. So make sure that it's pushed down. I'll just get my hand in here actually. Right. And then what I can do to keep it in place is now just stitch across there on the machine. Okay, and it's time for the second one. Get rid of my ends. So it can go to either side, but not the middle. That's got to come in a minute. Let's push it down. Okay, it's just got itself hooked on the seam allowance there, so it'll wiggle its way through. Again, I'm just going to stitch that down there. And I'm going to do the other two as well. So, other side first, not the centre still. Start it nicely. What this also does is it gives you the fold lines as well then, so it's going to fold really nicely. And I think this is going to be a really pretty box for a little gift for someone maybe. This one there. And then, so we've done this one, this one, this one. This is the open one. So now it's time to do the centre one. Okay, and now we can put the final one in, which is the open-ended one there. Now I like to just clip it under the fabric there so that it's out of the way for stitching up. And you can stitch this by hand if you want it to be invisible, or you can stitch it by machine right on the very edge. I think I've actually folded that over quite a little bit too much. So I'm just going to machine down there. Okay, so all we need to do now is actually stitch the sides of our box up. And there we are. There's our little box, and there's our little embroidered flower. And that's really useful. And I'm going to keep all sorts of things in there. Bowser wants to come and say goodbye. Just a moment. Sat in his bed. He's feeling shy. Where was I? Yeah. So there's our little box, and really useful. As I say, you can find them on my website. You can also find printed versions on my website. It's a really lovely meadow one. Either way, I really hope you've enjoyed spending an afternoon with me, and I'd really appreciate it if you would like to subscribe so that you can come and spend more time in my craft room with me. Bye.